afternoon, death toll in Aveno building collapse rises to 3. We bring you updates in the difficult recovery work, plus the latest in the now famous Osu-story building. Also to come, doctors at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital still on strike despite attempt by regional minister to end the stalemate. Later this afternoon, youth in Ibirim temporarily disrupt launch of Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program by the Lands Ministry. It's News Central live on TV3. I'm Kemini Amano. Our coverage starts right now. Now, city authorities are seeking necessary permits to demolish buildings sited close to a 3-story structure that collapsed Sunday in the North Industrial area and claimed 3 lives, with 1 survivor receiving treatment at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. It is emerging that the collapsed building lacked permits, although officials say investigations are ongoing to ascertain the actual cause of the incident. The emergency response team has fully withdrawn from the site after clearing and evacuating debris. Christian Yale is at the site of the collapse with the very latest. Christian, what can you report from there?
In fact, Kamini, right from yesterday when this happened, we know that a joint emergency response team was dispatched to the scene, comprising the National Fire Service, the police, the military, as well as the National Disaster Management Organization. Now, that emergency response team has finished with its work and has been able to clear the rubble. And so when you check the site here, as it were, all the rubble have been cleared. The debris is all over. They've been able to at least level the grounds here to a certain level that paves way for investigations to continue. And as you can see, the Ghana Police Service as well has now mounted barricades here to zone out this area, which has now been declared more or less like a safety zone, so that residents around do not enter this area, to pave way for authorities to be able to assess the site, as it were. Kamini, the barricades go all the way down there, close to this one, which used to be a mosque. We understand from yesterday when the incident happened, there were about 2 people who were inside the mosque who were retrieved, whose bodies were retrieved by NADMO and the other agencies who were here. Now, there is this story building which is still here that I'm going to show you, Kemini. Now, the understanding we are gathering is that authorities, the Interior Ministry, as well as the allied agencies or the MDAs, are working to get the necessary permits or authorizations to bring down this story building you see, because it now poses a danger. Now, there is a link from this building to the one that's 3-story which has collapsed. The understanding we have gotten from engineers is that it is the same contractor who worked on this particular building as well as the one which has collapsed. And so I have seen air conditioners on the side. It means that people are using this building, and so they are going to demolish it once they get the authorization. So what? Right now, the next agenda clearly is that the agencies have done their work. The emergency response team is withdrawn all the earth-moving equipment. About 5 of them were brought here to gather the rubbles, and they loaded them into trucks that were brought yesterday, which have all sent all of those rubbles away. We can listen to the commanding officer of the 48th Engineer Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces, who is also the lead for the emergency response team, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Osei-Amponsah, who indicated to me earlier that now, after their earlier, follow-up at the police hospital, one of the 2 survivors has also fallen. And so what it means is that the casualties or the death toll is now 3. We can listen to Lieutenant Colonel Amponsah, and I will be back.
As of yesterday, you are aware that we had rescued 4, 2 alive and then 2 dead, as of yesterday. This morning we followed up at the police hospital, and it's confirmed that we have lost additional victims. So that makes the death toll stand at 3, with 1 survivor undergoing treatment.
Why are you withdrawing from the incident scene?
Yes, so disaster response operation has various phases. And so the last phase of our operation is the collection of debris. And as you can see, we are 100% through with the debris collection, and therefore we need to withdraw from the site.
Are you going to more or less declare this area a safety zone so that people do not continually come to this site? And also, what happens to the other buildings around and their structural integrity? Are you going to collapse them as well?
The adjacent building, as you can see, is more or less a death trap. And as the Interior Minister said, arrangement is being made for such a building to be collapsed before we experience any fatalities. So, but as I said earlier, that will require some kind of authorization and other internal arrangements before such an action can be undertaken.
How far have we gone with investigations into the collapsed building, and how soon do we expect to get a report on that?
So far as the response team are concerned, our focus has been on the rescue and then the collection of the debris. The investigation, institution of an investigative body will be by the higher authorities, and I can't speak to that as at this morning.
So we do not know exactly what caused it yet?
For now, I'll say that we should wait for the investigation to be carried out and the outcome will be made known.
Now, Christian, despite not knowing the exact cause of the collapse of that building, we know that engineers have done an initial assessment of the situation there. What have they been telling you?
Yes, so the understanding we have gotten thus far from the Ghana Institution of Engineering is that, Kamini, the building lacked permits. That is the preliminary understanding we have gotten. And we've been trying to seek to get the assembly to respond to some of the concerns that have come up so far. Also because what I've gathered so far indicates that the works engineer at the time has been transferred and no longer at the assembly, and so we are yet to get to know who might have issued permit or not for this building to be sited. This is the North Industrial Area. This is Savannah, and so it is a busy place. But I want to show you a place. One thing we have noted is that, and the background checks we have received is that there is a drain just around, and so some are saying that when you look at it, it presupposes that the building itself, the ground on which it was sited, was porous. And so you could realize, you see that there is, or the space on the ground here has, the water there. It means that this is an area that one must be careful when siting a building at. And it is evident because then we know that there is a drain right here that I'm trying to see if I'm able to show you, Kamini. But while I do that, the understanding the Ghana Institution of Engineering is giving us is that some of these unfortunate incidents can be prevented, really, especially when you look at the materials that are used. And so, Kamini, like I was saying, this is the drain that I was talking about that I'm just about to show you. You realize that there are some officers here who are working to ensure that they barricade the area as well to prevent people from, mistakenly or unknowingly falling into it. So you see that this is a serious place. What it means is that once it rains and it overflows the banks, it just comes directly to the floor where I showed you, or to the ground where I showed you earlier, where we have the water clogged over there. But we can listen to the executive secretary of the substructural region of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, who talks about some of the measures that could have been put in place to deal with such disasters. We can now take a listen to Engineer Prince Kasavotri make that emphatic statement.
From what we are hearing, it looks like the assembly have not given out any permits. We are yet to confirm that fully, but the building have no permits, which means that if a building have no permits, it means that there are no planned works signed by an architect or a built environment specialist or an engineer for the construction to go on. So that's what we know for now with regards to that. But once this has happened, the adjoining building, since we know that it's from the same owner and the same contractor, and there's a link in between, the Ministry of Interior and the other allied ministries are working on it to verify, and then probably they'll get a demolition order if they need to bring this one down. So that will happen today. But I'm sure once you stick around, you get to know whether the other one will also come down or not. This can be prevented if we see there are laws, there are legal procedures that we need to go through before we build buildings, especially a commercial nature like this, where a lot of people will be frequenting. For example, we need to get the right drawing, we need to speak to the right professionals, civil engineers, architects, for them to give you a blueprint. And then you get a professionals to make sure that what they have designed or what they have given you is actually what is being built. To put it in a simple language, concretes have different strengths, different mixes and different money. Red bars have different strengths, materials have different strengths. And
now, Christian, what's next after clearing the debris from there?
Kamini, the understanding we have is that very shortly today, possibly, we'll have the Interior Minister, who was here yesterday, return to this particular site. What it also means is that he's not going to come alone. He is going to come with other officials who will come to do a post-incident assessment to look at what has been the process or the progress so far. What I know also is that the survivor, as it were, has family around, and so I would seek to eventually get at least the mother of the surviving victim to engage on her thoughts really about this whole incident. But this is how it is. The barricades have been mounted and are in full force. What that means is that no one gets access into this area where the incident happened. You have clogged waters all over the place. It is danger actually, and it means that I also need to be swift with my reportage and get out of this area. And so engineers will do their work, authorities will come to do their work, and then this building in particular, which is...
Very well, Christian, we'll leave it here for now. Christian Yale joined us from Aveno, where that building collapsed and authorities have cordoned off the area. We'll move on to the Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly now, because we know that the assembly has moved in to demolish a dilapidated story building which was posing a great risk to residents. According to reports, occupants had failed to heed the directives by the assembly to move out due to the state of the building until today. Prior to the demolition, residents had raised serious concerns about the danger the building poses to them following multiple building collapses in recent times. Well, George Queenan is on location now, joins us with the very latest on this. George, what more can you tell us about this building? It looks scary even on site. Well, I'll try George again. George Queenan is in the Korle Klottey constituency, where the assembly is doing its best to get the appropriate permissions to demolish a building they believe poses threats to residents and people in that community. George Queenan is on site. He joins us with the very latest on this story. George, I'll try you one more time. We see the building and it does not look habitable at all. Has it been brought down yet? It would appear George can't hear me, but as you see from the shot, There is already machinery on site preparing to bring down the building. And as you see, it's already started to bring down this building located somewhere in the Korle Klottey constituency. George Quinn is our man on the ground. George, where exactly is this building and what is happening now?
Live from Osu here in Accra, and if you can see right behind me, the Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly is actually undertaking a landmark activity, and this is a 4-story building. And following yesterday's heavy downpour, portions of this very building collapsed. And prior to that, there were just several directives to these occupants to actually evacuate from this very building because of its, it looked a bit dilapidated. So obviously, the untoward was going to happen anyways. And so the occupants in there had to move out yesterday. And so Korle Klottey is the one undertaking this very exercise. And I have an official with me here. I would want to engage him. And why did they undertake this very exercise today? You're live on TV3. Your name, please.
My name is Anthony.
So I know you've actually issued several directives to these occupants to move out. Why were they still inside, considering the nature of this very building?
The why, I might not, know why, but, some were saying they don't have the means to, go to rent an expensive, apartment. So this is what they could afford.
But I could actually see that it was this writing that says they were supposed to move out on the 14th of April. I don't know, what does it tell me about that?
So there have been several notices. This was the last one. So they were supposed to move latest by 14th.
They were still in?
Yes. So normally, that's what happened.
So if yesterday's downpour didn't even give them that sign that it's possible it might collapse, then they would still have been in?
Yes, but we were going to demolish it, So, but before that, there were some disputes, with the family, and then the processes to take before you demolish it. So that was why we were still going forth and back on the date being extended to today.
So is it that you're going to search out the occupant? Because I know if you are paying for the whatever demolition, it means that you are taking the cost or they will pay.
Yeah, so they've decided to do it themselves. Yeah, if not, we would have surcharged them and then do the demolition. So as you are saying, we are supervising them to do the right thing. So that's why you're seeing the officials from the assembly, the NADMO director himself is here. Yeah, and we have our local NADMO team too. The police, fire service are all here.
So how long do you think this might be, completely pulled down?
Yeah, so I can't tell, but we hope by close of the day it could come down. Yeah.
I personally spoke to an occupant here. He didn't want to speak on camera, and he says he's lived in the house for 40 years. And this is where he raised all his children. All his children are more than 30 years. Clearly, this is someone who actually does not really care about the state of this very building. How concerned are you that there's most of these buildings here with occupants still inside, regardless of whatever risk that is at hand?
It's sad because I also spoke to a tenant. What he said was that he just renewed his tenancy agreements, and so we don't expect him to just move. But that's human. Yeah. So whatever you do, they will have an excuse for staying there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So that's an official from the Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly, and they are actually undertaking this very exercise. And he says by the close of today, it might actually come down. But let's try and see if we can talk to an official from the Ghana National Fire Service. They're also here in their numbers to make sure this actually is successful. Most of the roads, all the 4 roads here have been cordoned off, so residents cannot come to the scene because obviously it has some, risks at hand. And if you're watching us, we are coming to you live from Osu, and we also want to hear from you. We are active on Facebook at TV3 Ghana, and hopefully read your comments and share them to the rest of the world. And let's try and engage.
Now, a joint technical investigative committee has released preliminary findings into last week's building collapse at Medina, concluding that the tragedy was caused by a combination of regulatory violations, serious structural defects, and unsafe construction practices. According to the investigators, the building was being developed without the required statutory approvals, including approved architectural and structural drawings, building permits, and other mandatory documentation. The committee also found that stop work orders issued by the Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly were ignored, with construction continuing despite official directives to halt work. The investigation revealed that an additional floor was under construction at the time of the collapse. The unauthorized extension reportedly placed excessive load on a structure that had neither been designed nor assessed to support the extra weight. Occupants were also found to be living in parts of the building while construction activities were going on. Engineers identified several critical structural weaknesses, including discontinuous load-bearing columns, inadequate support systems, poor quality concrete, and improperly installed reinforcement. We'll connect now with the Executive Secretary of Structural Subdivision of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Prince Cass Avocheri, for more on this story. Prince, I appreciate your time this afternoon. The committee's preliminary findings indicate that the building was constructed without the required approvals, and indeed stop work orders were also ignored. How much did these regulatory breaches contribute to the collapse?
Yes, good afternoon to your listeners and viewers. We've always been giving notification to the media about seeking professionals to handle their projects. So this is an affront to what we've always been talking about. And with regards to the Adenta projects and the press release of so many similar incidents that happened, we realized that whether the basic fundamentals of structural element arrangements has not been followed. So we also found out that permit was not issued, which means there's no engineer who is taking responsibility of the structure, and then there is no architect on record who also takes responsibility of the structure. So basically, it's like the owner or whoever built it have gone rogue without any recourse to regulations and laws.
And what we are asking, engineer, is how does that, in your very considered opinion, contribute to what happened in Adenta?
Yes, so basically we are saying, for example, if you are expecting, let's say, 100 kilogram of weight, and then the provisions you made for to be able to hold that 100 kilogram is, say, 40 or 50, it's bound to collapse. It will come down. That's what we saw. With first-hand observation, we also realized that the materials that were used were not, from first observation, it was not proper. The concrete looks very weak, it's flaky. And then we also saw that the column arrangements were not properly done. What means is that they were floating columns. So what that shows is that there are some columns that are not starting from the ground, but it is supporting the subsequent floors. So with all this put together and a slight movement, the collapse happened. That's what we think happened.
I see. And then also we were worried about the poor quality of materials that were used in the construction. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, so this quite challenging to explain, because what we are saying is that if, for example, a build professional or a licensed engineer or someone designed a multi-story building, he or she, based on the loads that is coming, will be able to tell you the strength of concrete you require. So say 1 meter square of concrete, he tell you whether 8 bags or 10 bags or 12 bags of cement will give you a certain strength. If it's a rebar that he's designed for the story building, he will tell you a certain strength. Let's say a high tensile steel between 460 to 500, or a mild steel. If he designs and is putting on specification, that becomes a legal document. So once that is supposed to be executed, then you have something to measure quality against. So if say we know that building in Adenta was designed by an engineer, which is not, if it was designed, you would have said, okay, what did the engineer, what provisions did he make, or what quality did he make for? If he says put, let's say, 10 number of high tensor diameter 20 in a column, and you go there and it is 8 or 6, you can tell that, okay, the right thing was not done. If you went there and it was 10, but the material is inferior to what is specified for, then we could also say, okay, there's an inferior material. In this case, there was nothing like that. There's nothing like that on site, on record. So, and what we see firsthand to realize that the mix and everything was not done properly. So it's an accident in waiting, and we have similar structures all over the country.
So what immediate lessons should developers, engineers, local authorities draw from the outcome of these investigations? Essentially, I'm asking you, what should we do with the outcome of your investigation?
In the interim, we have to look up from the regulation point of view. I think we should be able to impress and resource the assemblies to enforce their local laws that if a building have no permit, they should go to them to help them regularize their structural integrity to be done on an existing building. If it's fit for purpose, they regularize the permit for them. If it's not fit for purpose, then we use the legal means to bring them down to safeguard lives and properties. That's on the other aspect. The second part is unfortunate that this is happening once we have accidents, but the media education and all of us on board have to educate ourselves that if you are building structures, you need to seek professional advice to have the proper materials and the proper strength of concrete and things to be done. That's on the other aspect of it.
Very well, Engineer, we'll leave it here. Engineer Prince Kasavotre is Executive Secretary for the Structural Subdivision of the Ghana Institute of Engineers, excuse me. We'll now turn attention away from the building collapses and demolition exercise straight to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, where the president of the Komfo Anokye Doctors Association, Dr. Michael Leeds, has told TV3 that yesterday's statement from the Ministry of Health has complicated matters. In an exclusive interview with William Evans Inkum a while ago, the surgeon said they were almost closing the matter when that statement dropped. Before we play that interaction, let's recall a statement from the Ashanti Regional Minister on this development.
Following the issues that have been happening, I spoke with the health minister, and on his direction, then to take steps to see how best we can have these issues resolved. So we came to meet with the union leaders to get their perspective and see how best we'll be able to resolve it. Thankfully, we've reached a resolution. However, they will make the communication themselves. So I'm sure that in the course of time, they will do that communication. Once they do the communication, then we'll carry that from there. But we want to assure the public that Ashanti region is central when it comes to health delivery. But we carry the burden of both the northern, the middle, and the Ashanti itself. So if we have our only tertiary hospital breakdown in this manner, then most definitely it's going to affect us. So we're taking all the steps in making sure that these issues are de-escalated, most importantly. Because once it lingers on, the patient will suffer. So that we'll be able to have that. So I want to thank the health minister, the union leaders for their cooperation in this whole issue, and thank the RCC team for joining us in this resolution. So we'll communicate the resolution to the health minister. The union leaders will also come out, then as soon as possible, we'll implement.
Well, Frank Amoako-Hene is the Ashanti Regional Minister, whose comment the doctors say now has complicated the resolution to that matter. What that matter is, you may recall that the CEO of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital has been suspended, or there are recommendations for his suspension, essentially over the closure of the emergency unit of the hospital. It led to a meeting followed by the recommendation to the board for suspension. The doctors were unhappy. There appeared to have been a stalemate as aspects of health workers decided to go on strike on this matter. Now the doctors are telling Evans Inkum, who's here with me, that we could have had a resolution, but for the comment of Frank Amoako-Hene, Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene, so to speak, who is the Ashanti Regional Minister. Evans, why so?
Well, so, Kevin, not necessarily the comments of Dr. Amoako-Hene, but the statement from the Ministry of Health, that is what appear to have complicated matters as far as, situation here is concerned. So according to Dr. Lead, who is the chairman of the Komfo Teaching Hospital Doctors Association, after that engagement, which of course he also described as fruitful engagement with the Ashanti Regional Minister, it was time they also engage the members, about 180 of them. Then this particular statement came up, and that complicated matters. So as it stands now, members, according to him, are dissatisfied or discontent about that particular statement that came from the Ministry of Health, and for that matter, it looks like they're going to be in for the long haul. Now, what they are saying is that they want government to take practical steps, and of course, with timelines, letting them understand when Sewia and Afari hospitals are going to be operationalized, so to ease pressure on Komfo Teaching Hospital. That is one thing. Then there's also another revelation coming in. This one has to do with the early stages of this whole brouhaha. Now, there was a conversation as to whether the board was aware or not aware. And you remember that particular statement from the ministry, that query letter from the Ministry of Health, asking the board to suspend the chief executive officer. Kemini, interestingly, Dr. Leet told me that before they took that particular decision to close the accident emergency unit because it was full, and direct that other emergency cases should be taken care of by other hospitals around. The board was aware, and that is the revelation he gave me, that the board was aware before that particular decision was taken. So it's quite, it's quite interesting, considering or juxtaposing that statement or letter from the Ministry of Health and the situation on the ground at the moment.
I see. I want us to take a listen to Dr. Leet on this matter. But before we do that, let's roll it back and clarify. When we say that, look, there was a fruitful meeting between the doctors or the doctor association there at the hospital and the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoako-Hene himself, and the doctors are okay with that meeting. However, they have concerns about a statement released by the health minister. Which statement are we talking about? The one released on Friday?
Well, they're talking about the one released only yesterday, which chronicle events leading to the suspension of the chief executive officer. What government is also doing as far as retooling health facilities in the region, of course, beyond Ashanti region is concerned. What government is also doing specifically on Sewia and, of course, the Afari military hospital. And of course, the statement also mentioning that there's even a project which is also in the pipeline, which the CAT lab, which is also another major project that government also intends erecting in the Ashanti region to also complement Komfo when it comes to healthcare delivery. So that statement is what they are talking about.
And what about that statement, Evans, infuriates the doctors?
Well, that is something that we probably will need to understand. But from their front, they are saying that that particular statement has complicated a positive progress that they were making with the regional minister. That is what Dr. Leet told me.
Let's take a listen to Dr. Michael Leet on this matter.
Since the decision to go on the strike was a decision taken by a group, so we presented it to them. And in the course of our discussion to see the next step, we saw a release from the Minister of Health, picture of the discussion. In fact, people were angry, and then we had to end the meeting. Yes, so as it stands now, we are still on strike. We are still taking steps to make sure we go back to our people, talk to them, through more discussions and then see how best we come out positively for us as doctors, for patients, and for Ghanaians in and the people of Ashanti region.
Evans, that's a story you continue to follow closely as it evolves. Thank you very much for the report. And Evans Inkom is Ashanti region correspondent. Let's take you now to Belarus, because Ghana and Belarus have signed 3 memoranda of understanding following the state's visit by President Mahama to that country. The MOUs cover a joint commission on cooperation in trade and economy, a cooperation on chambers of commerce, and the cooperation in the area of agriculture. The MOUs were signed by Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, Ghana's foreign minister, Jehu Apia, Ghana's ambassador to Russia, and Ghana's food and agriculture minister, Eric Opoku. President Mahama earlier had talks with his Belarusian counterpart at the State House in Brest. Well, on that Belarusian note, we'll take a break. When we come back, there's more news. Don't go away.
In a world full of noise, clarity matters. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasmini, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasumeni, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Is changing, not slowly, not quietly.
News Central will now take you back to the Korle Klottey constituency, where George Queenan is reporting the building that was under demolition has caved in. George, what do you mean by that?
For having me, and so as you can see, the building has entirely come down, but we're really concerned whether it actually affected the one driving the excavator. And let me get this from the NADWA official. We were all scared. We were just like boom, and it went down, and we're concerned about the status of the driver. How is it?
Yeah, so demolition is a special exercise. Yes, but he's an expert, so we were all monitoring. All the time telling him to pay attention, because it could move anytime. And so that's what exactly happened. So he's safe.
It was like I was at a war zone. So is this what they go through?
This is what we go through demolition. We've been demolishing huge buildings than this. So it's okay.
But I think he was actually raising his hand.
But it's okay. It's okay, yes. It's very fine. That's him over there. The only thing is that one of the holes is broken, so they'll just fix it. So we are bringing the wheel loader and the truck, so we start the evacuation of the debris right now. Okay. You can see the MC is here to assist. So we are bringing the trucks to clear this place to zero.
And you said you've also identified some 11 facilities in the Greater Accra region that are expected to be demolished. Tell us more.
Sure. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll take a break, and then from Wednesday we'll continue. So we'll let you know where we'll be moving. We'll be moving to Wejagbawe. Yes, so tomorrow we have to send our guys there to check whether indeed everybody has moved from the structure, because there were some tenants. We've given them time to move. Because that building is equally like this, but I think that one is just one story. But all the concrete plastering is peeling off. And then you can see that the slab has sagged in. Very dangerous. Walls are falling apart. So on Wednesday, we'll move in to go and do that work.
If the rains had not exposed these very buildings, would you have done that on your own?
We have done that. To do that, we deal with 3 Ps. We have our preparedness activities that we do ahead of the rains. But we knew the season, and especially this year, we had early warning signals from GMET that the rains are going to start very early. So we also started preparing ahead of time. So this building, for instance, it was earmarked 3 months ago So it's not because of the rains that we are putting it down. We have already done that. We did that for 1 month, moved out all the occupants, and then we brought in AESL to conduct the test to make sure that we are on the right path. And then we involved the landowners. Of course, this structure is not a waterway, so it means that it's a legal structure. So we just have to involve the landowners and let them know why we have to pull it down. And we all agree. So you can see there is no chaos here in terms of pulling down.
So if you just tune in, we are coming to you live from Osu. This is where the building is, and you should have experienced what really happened minutes ago. It just caved in just at once. So we all thought that the driver was affected, but Nanmo says it's not what it is. But before this, I wanted to talk to the Ghana National Fire Service. I think he's free now. He can talk to us just briefly. We are live on TV3. I was talking to you when this thing just came down. You know, I was scared. But this is what these drivers go through on a daily, evacuation exercises of this sort. It's scary.
Yes. So that is how come we did not come here alone, but to come here with the relevant agencies, especially the police, just to provide some on-scene security to ensure that people do not get throng the place and then overcrowd the area. Because assuming there hadn't been enough security around, probably somebody would have gotten hurt. So as professionals, we would continue to do our best within the circumstances to ensure that there is adequate safety at such incident ground. It is just fortunate that even the excavator operator did not get hurt. So as and when we are doing, these are some of the risk assessment that we do so that we alert him that where you are heading towards, in no time the structure is going to come down so that they could retreat and then ensure. So as it stands now, we are calling on our rescue team to come in to be able to ram and create some space for the excavator to be able to move back and then continue with the work that we began earlier this morning.
So clearly occupants were living on a time bomb, and they didn't know this?
Yes, it has been on and off. You know, some of us are too recalcitrant, and I think it is high time we enforce the laws. It's not as if Ghana, we don't have the laws. We have the laws which are very effective. So I think by and large we would enforce, and this is the beginning of the enforcement exercise. Apart from this building, 16 other structures have been earmarked for demolition, and we are going to do our best to ensure that we bring all such compromised structures down in order to avert any tragedy in the future.
Thank you so much. And so this is what it is, the situation report right here at Osu. And the building, of course, has finally come down. And so I'm sure the other things that need to be done will be done as soon as possible. And so let's hear from you. We're active on Facebook.
Well, George Queening joined us from Osu. We'll now turn attention to poor roads. Now, drivers, traders and residents in the Ashaiman municipality are threatening a series of demonstrations over the deteriorating state of roads in the area. They say years of neglect have left major roads and inner streets, riddled with potholes, making transportation difficult, increasing vehicle maintenance costs and affecting businesses. Joseph Armstrong Gold-Delogwe visited some of the affected communities and filed this report.
Several roads in the Ashaiman municipality, including the Ashaiman Underpass to Presby Junction stretch, the Ashaiman New Town to Afarewa Road, the Valco Flats, School Junction Road, the Asensuba Road, and many inner roads have deteriorated significantly. The roads have become dusty during the dry season and muddy whenever it rains, making movement difficult for both motorists and pedestrians. Traders operating along these roads say business activities have declined sharply as customers avoid the dusty environment. Many roadside businesses have folded up, while those still operating struggle to keep their goods free from dust and dirt. Commercial drivers also complain that the poor road network is taking a heavy toll on their vehicles. They say frequent visits to mechanic shops for repairs and replacement of worn-out parts have increased their operational costs.
The only thing we are requesting for the Republic of Ghana leadership and Ashama leadership is that we need a good road.
Residents say the poor roads are affecting access to schools, health facilities and businesses, while also slowing economic activity within the municipality. Some residents expressed disappointment over what they describe as years of neglect and are calling on governments and local authorities to urgently intervene.
Now, away from that, in a major breakthrough for Ghana's energy sector, the Sentuo Oil Refinery in Tema has officially taken delivery of its first parcel of domestic crude oil from the Jubilee fields, signaling the start of local processing of the country's own petroleum resources. We'll cross over now to the venue where the sector minister is speaking.
The diesel produced here will power our trucks and cold chains. The LPG will offer cleaner cooking fuel for our families. The asphalt will lay the very roads our nation needs to grow. And behind every barrel, every product, every linkage to transport, agriculture, manufacturing and infrastructure are people, Ghanaian workers, Ghanaian tax collectors, Ghanaian engineers, Ghanaian families whose life will be better because this refinery exists. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to Chairman Shu Ninkwan and the entire Sentuo Group, I speak on behalf of government and people of Ghana when I say, we see you, we honor you, we thank you. You made a bold and visionary commitment, nearly $2 billion investment in Ghana at a time when many looked away. You did not waver. You built, persevered. You stand at the threshold of something truly historic today. Your conviction that Africa must stop exporting raw materials and begin owning its own value chain is not just a business philosophy, it is a patriotic act for this continent. Ghana shares that conviction completely. And I want you to know with absolute certainty that you do not walk on this road alone. The government of Ghana, under the leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, stands with you as a committed partner. We have committed to helping build the local service ecosystem that will grow around this refinery. We are committed to working with you on the next frontier: petrochemicals, fertilizers, plastics, and specialty inputs that will deepen Ghana's industrial base and reduce our dependence on imports. Ghana is not only interested in our exports, we are also interested in import substitution because it also helps us to retain our hard-earned foreign exchange. My ministry heard of the great excitement during our recent visit to China that a fertilizer plant is being planned for Ghana. Agreeing to go with you to China shows that my ministry and I are ready to be your partner in making that fertilizer factory a reality. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the resource curse has always had a remedy, not the abandonment of our resources, but the transformation of same. Sentuo has given us the platform. What comes next will define the depth of our industrial transformation. To the workers of Sentuo Oil, to the engineers, the technicians, the operators, support staff, you are living proof of what Ghana can do when given the tools and the trust. You have our deepest admiration and unwavering support. To our partners at GNPC, the Petroleum Commission, and across the upstream sector, your collaboration made this day possible. The government is grateful, and we look forward to deepening that partnership as we move towards phase 2 and beyond. Ghana is on the move. Our best days are not behind us. They are being built right now, right here, in facilities like this one. Let this ceremony be a declaration to the world. Ghana does not just extract its wealth. Ghana builds with it. And as I always end, may God bless our effort. Thank you for your kind attention.
Put your hands together for Ghana's minister. For Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, the Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejiare MP. Oh, please do it warmly. Thank you, ma'am. And she did not disappoint, breaking down all the benefits in granular detail. And so if you're joining us here at the Central Oil Refinery in the Tema Heavy Industrial Area, or joining us on GTV, the station of the nation, on radio, on television, or online, we welcome you to this moment in history where we commissioned the first ever Ghanaian Jubilee crude oil berth right here at the Central Oil Refinery. It is a bold statement of Ghana's preparedness to pursue her energy security agenda and industrial transformation. In moving on, we would like to have an appreciation of our journey so far. For the next few minutes, please lend your attention to the screen as we showcase to you the Central Refinery story. Enjoy.
In the heart of the Gulf of Guinea, Ghana's energy story began with a vision to transform natural resources into national prosperity. From the discovery of commercial oil in the Jubilee field to the emergence of modern industrial economy, Ghana has continued its journey towards energy independence, value addition, and economic transformation. For years, Ghana exported its crude oil while importing much of its refined petroleum products. Today, that story is changing. In January 2024, a bold vision became reality. The Central Oil Refinery was officially commissioned in Tema, marking one of the most significant private industrial investments in Ghana's energy sector. Developed by the Central Group, the refinery was designed as a world-class, multi-phased refinery complex to support Ghana's growing energy needs and create value from Africa's petroleum resources. Beginning with an initial processing train of approximately 40,000 barrels per day and progressing towards a planned capacity of up to 100,000 barrels per day, Central represents a new generation of modern refining infrastructure in West Africa. Built with advanced refining technology and significant international investments, Central Oil Refining is helping strengthen Ghana's domestic refining capacity, supporting energy security, creating employment opportunities, and contributing to industrial growth. The refinery has emerged as a major contributor to local petroleum production, supporting Ghana's ambition to become a leading energy and industrial hub in Africa. And now, another historic chapter is written. On the 8th of June 2026, Central Oil Refinery proudly hosts its first ever Jubilee crude oil berth ceremony. For the first time, Ghana's flagship Jubilee crude arrives at Central Oil Refinery as part of a national vision to increase local refining, maximize value addition, strengthen industrial capacity, and deepen Ghana's participation across the petroleum value chain. This is more than a crude oil delivery. It is a symbol of Ghana's industrial progress, a demonstration of confidence in local refining, a commitment to job creation, a commitment to industrialization, a commitment to national transformation. From offshore of oil fields to local refineries, from local refineries to industries, from industries to jobs, from jobs to prosperity, the value chain of transformation is taking shape. Central Oil Refinery stands at the center of this journey, connecting Ghana's natural resources, to Ghana's industrial future. As Ghana advances its vision of industrialization, energy security, and economic transformation, partnerships between governments, industry, and investors will continue to unlock new opportunities for future generations. Today, we celebrate a milestone. Tomorrow, we build a legacy. Century Oil Refinery, refining Ghana's future, powering industry, creating value, driving industrial transformation, fueling national progress, building a stronger Ghana.
Put your hands together for truly inspiring an amazing story of national development. We're particularly grateful for the presence of the Deputy Minister for Energy and Green Transitions, the Honorable Richard Jan Mensah, who joins us. Please, a round of applause for him too. Thank you very much. Somebody say the word resetting. Oh, come on. Say it with vim. Resetting. Now we know we have some enemies of the state. Today, resetting has a new meaning. It means, in the words of the President of the Republic, natural resources must become investments for industrial transformation and national prosperity. Who better to articulate that for us than a man who represents him as our very own Minister for Energy and Green Transitions? Would you please make welcome our guest of honor, the Honorable John Jinapor, MP.
Thank you very much. Let me stand on the existing protocols ably articulated by my sister, my comrade, and my colleague minister, the Honorable Minister for Trade and Agribusiness, who has benevolently, and let me re-emphasize the word, benevolently, offered to host me for dinner this evening. Please, let's give her a round of applause. Just that I haven't told her the number of people who will be coming for that dinner. So I'll let her know at the appropriate time. But on this auspicious occasion, let me thank all of you, and to make it clear that today indeed marks a historic and significant milestone in Ghana's petroleum industry and in our broader national effort to maximize value from our national resources. It is therefore a great honor for me to join you on this occasion to witness the delivery of our own locally produced crude oil from the Jubilee fields to St.